three start racing to the mountains of northeast. Now she runs away and reaches there at night. But even before climbing that mountain, Janitsu is very afraid and says,
"Aren't you afraid of that mountain?"
Then Zero says,
"Even if we are afraid, we have to go to that mountain."
But then Tanjiro gets a smell and he says something is wrong, and the three of them start running towards that mountain. Then on the way they get another partner of the Demon Slayer who is asking for help from them, but as they go to help him, that boy suddenly starts flying in the air and he says, "Boy."
"That I'm attached to him. Please don't let me die."
Seeing this, they are all surprised and then go out towards the mountain of Tanjiros and Ainos. But Zenitsu stays there in fear. Now in the next scene, we are able to tie a lot of Diamond Slayers with threads and this, and we see that Tanjiro and Ainos are climbing the mountain. But on the way, they see a lot of spiders, which they have a little doubt, but they still move forward. Then Tanjiro tells Ainosuke that,
"Thanks for coming with me. To tell the truth, I was getting a very scary smell from this mountain, which I was very afraid of. But when you said, 'Yes, I am very happy that you will come with me,' thanks for that."
Suddenly, Tanjiro and Inosuke spot a boy and chase after him. Tanjiro reaches the boy and says to him that,
"Please don't worry, we are here to assist you."
The boy says that,
"You are not alone. We are many, and you don't need it."
"I understand the risk here," but Inos gets angry and asks the boy, "You?"
"Just explain what happened here."
Then the boy tells us that we have 10 diamonds.
"The Slayers had gathered here to kill that monster, but then I saw all the Diamond Slayers start killing each other."
Now on the other hand, we are shown the head of Diamond Slayers. A crow tells him that.
"A lot of Diamond Slayers have been killed."
Then says the head of the Diamond Slayer,
"Are there any of the 12 demons?"
and he asks Ju and Shinobu to go there, and they go there, and here we are shown Janitsu, who is sitting on the road and thinking,
"A friend leaves another friend alone. If they had persuaded me a little, maybe I would have gone with them. But he left me alone." Then,
his feet inform him.
"That there is no point in sitting here, we should go there and help them."
Then Bornsu says that those feet.
"You truly have no idea. What is the issue?"
Upon hearing this, she becomes furious, biting that leg, and he responds to it.
"You should learn something from Nezuko. How good is she even though she is a demon?"
Then suddenly Janisu remembers that Tanjiro has taken Nezuko with him and says,
"Does Tanjiro not know that such a cute girl is not in such a dangerous place?"
And he says,
"That I have to save my meow."
He begins sprinting towards that mountain. Meanwhile, Tanjiras and his companions start hearing an unusual sound, and the boy comments,
"I have heard that noise before. The previous time I heard it, all the Demasliers began attacking each other."
Then Tanjiro says this is coming.
"Where are you from?"
They are surrounded by Demoziller members and attacked. Then he informs Tanjiro of Inos.
"Let's kill them."
Then Tanjiro says,
"No, I think they have been manipulated by someone and they are our teammates. I think a lot of them are alive."
And then Inos, "Are you talking about tattoos?"
"Don't speak to me right now."
And he attacks the Tanziras, then brings to the Tanziras a sweet smell from the Diamond Slayer. And then the dragons understand that
someone is controlling them with threads, and
he cuts the thread of that Diamond Slayer and tells everyone about it. And then these with his own sword cuts everyone's thread. Then Inosuke says that yours.
"I had known about it before I mentioned it."
And then all of a sudden some spiders come on Tanzira's hand, and Tanziras understand that
someone is connecting all these with the threat with the help of these spiders.
Then we are shown a demon on the other side, which is controlling all of these with its threat, and tells this and Tanjiro Inos that
there is no point in cutting these threads because these spiders will replace those threads.
Inosuke then says, "Let's move."
"They kill these spiders."
But Tanjiro says,
"This isn't feasible considering their numbers are in the millions. Eliminating all of them is impossible."
And he says,
"That if you have any power with the help of which you can find that monster, then it will help a lot because the power of smell that I have is because of this dirty smell. Doesn't work?"
Then we see that a monster comes there, and he is floating in the air by the helm of that string, and he says, "Monster,
My mother is poised to eliminate you soon, and we will ensure our family remains undisturbed.
And we see that Inos tries to kill that monster, but that monster is floating at a very high altitude, because of which his sword cannot reach there, and he starts falling downwards, and the demon lives there. Then Tanjiro tells us that.
However, do not divert your focus. I believe they are under someone else's control.
Then Inos says,
You would like me to seek out that monster and then...
let's witness Inos unleashing its power. They commence its usage, concluding the episode.
There are episodes.
In the beginning, we see that these find the monster with his own power and tell the Tanziras about it. But as they move towards that monster, the rest of the Diamond Slayers attack them. Then the tankers say,
Is there absolutely no way out of here?
The scene then shifts, showing Janitsu wandering in the forest searching for Nezuko. We see Tanjiro and Inos pondering how to escape, and then one of them attacks Tanjiro, but Murata intervenes, starting a fight with the Diamond Slayer while calling out to Tanjiro.
I want you to go to them.
I'll take care of it, he says, and begins fighting the Diamond Slayers.
Even though I was fearful before, I will manage. I am a Diamond Slayer after all.
Tanjiro then expresses his gratitude and takes Inosuke with him. They arrive at a location where they encounter a girl. He ended the lives of his friends and said,
Get out of here and summon a Hashira. I can't control myself. Please assist us and help us immediately.
On the other hand, we are shown the monster who declares,
The closer anyone gets to me, the stronger my threats will become, and the greater the grip of fear.
Only then do we see that there is one. This monster comes whatever it says.
Did you manage to defeat them?
Will you get it? Seeing him, that monster is very afraid. And then that monster says that,
Defeat them quickly, or I will inform father.
Then he says demon.
Dad, I'll beat them quickly, please. Don't say anything to the mother.
The monster is now gone. We observe that she begins attacking with even more demonic strength and intensity, targeting the demon layer Tanziers and declares,
I am in someone's control. Please leave here or you will be killed.
And starts fighting with Tanziers, and then we see that the rest of the Demanslers who were already in a state of limbo tell the Tanziers that please.
Kill us, we are almost dead.
All the bones are shattered. From above, this monstrous being is fighting with tremendous force, causing widespread panic. Then Inos exclaims,
Let's eliminate them permanently.
Do not speak or act.
No, we will save them.
Then Tanjiro starts thinking of a way, and then he gets an idea and he starts running. And we see that Diamond Slayer is also chasing Tanjiro. And Tanjiro says,
Absolutely right, that's me.
I just want to share my thoughts.
Why are you wandering around aimlessly?
But only then do we see Tanjiro, that Diamond Slayer. He grabs it and throws it into the air and hangs it from the tree and says, Inosuke here.
That's what I will do.
And he also throws the rest of the demonslers in the air and hangs them on the tree, due to which that demon cannot control those demonslers. And on the other hand, we see that she says demon.
This doc, it's not my job.
Meanwhile, she obliterates every single diamond in her path. On the other side, Janitsu is desperately searching for Tanziras. Overwhelmed by emotions, Janitsu notices his feet approaching him. Delighted, he exclaims,
You're the only one who cares about me. Please clean up whatever mess I created.
And Tanziras get very angry at that monster, and they start looking for that monster. And then Tanziras brings the smell of a monster, and Ainos attacks that monster, and we see that that monster does not have a head. And then Inos says,
It's headless. How do we defeat it?
Then the Tanziers say,
Don't fret. If we angle the sword diagonally from its throat, it's possible we could slay it.
In a valiant solo effort, Inosuke attacks the monster. The monster retaliates, injuring Inosuke and capturing him with its spider minions. Just as the monster is about to kill Inosuke, Tanjiro arrives in the nick of time and rescues him, proclaiming,
If we get together with Ainos, we will easily defeat this monster.
Leaning forward, Tanjiro speaks,
Put your feet on my back and jump and attack that monster.
Do. And we see that Inos jams by putting his foot on the back of Tanjiro, and he cuts off the hands of the monster. And on this side, Tanjiro gets Mocha and cuts off the legs of that monster. And on this side, Inos thinks,
This really bothers me quite a lot. It speaks with such certainty, as if it has foreseen the future.
Then we witness how Ino slices through the monster in the exact same manner as the monster is set ablaze. Next, we observe Ino seizing the Tanjiri and tossing it into the air, causing it to absorb the scent of the demon, and here we notice her refer to it as a demon.
They managed to defeat my most formidable doll, and
As soon as she glances skyward, she realizes that the Tanjiri are descending with the intent to slit her throat. She is very scared, and then she says,
if it ends me, I will finally be free.
and then we see that demon puts down his weapon, and the Tanjiron changes its form and cuts off the head of that demon, and we see that demon seeing rain in the sky, and she says,
I never imagined my demise would be this serene. I feel no pain whatsoever and have attained true peace.
and here we are shown the demon's past, where we observe her husband brutally murdering her, with her children laughing and exclaiming.
That should be the case with you.
And here's the fearsome monster. It narrates to the Tanzirs.
There are 112 members of Kizuki. Avoid it and
She burns to ashes, bringing the episode to a dramatic conclusion. In the episode's opening, Tanziron is deep in thought.
if I manage to extract the blood from any of the 12 Kizuki, Maya will rapidly formulate Mezuko's treatment.
Tanjiro approaches Inosuke, who then comes forward and inquires.
Are you feeling all right? You're losing a significant amount of blood.
Then he says,
First, provide me with the detailed account of how you managed to kill that beast.
so Tanjiro says, yes, and as soon as Tanjiro asks him about his injuries, he says,
That you don't need to show siege. I'm absolutely fine.
I am. Zero begins to think that there is a family of demons here and above is Van of the 12. When I hit that Lakshasi, I saw that she was begging to die.
And here on the other side we see Jainitsu, who has been cut by something, and he is looking for Tanjiro again. Only then Jainitsu looks back. He sees a baby spider which he is very afraid of, and he starts running away from it and says, run away.
If this is a bad dream, I want to wake up as soon as possible. Now.
As soon as he looks ahead, he sees a lot of people as spiders that are hanging in the air, and he sees that a house is also floating in the air, and then Jainitsu sees that a very big spider comes out of that house, which he gets very scared, and he starts running from there and says,
Don't talk to me.
but he says spider.
You're burden hot.
Yes, Jainitsu says,
What does that mean to you?
how's that spider of yours?
Let me check my hands.
And as soon as Jinetsu sees his hand, he is bitten by a spider, and then he calls it a spider.
That you are going to convert to spider soon. In half an hour you will be my slave.
Now we see a lot of spiders attack Jainitsu, afraid of which Jainitsu runs away and climbs the tree, and then he says spider.
That's what you need to fear. Soon you will be converted into a spider and lose your humanity.
And then Jainitsu says,
Shut up. I don't want to be a spider.
and us. Tasu's past is illustrated when an elderly man requests Janhitsu to descend from the tree, to which Janhitsu responds,
That I don't want to die, that if I do more training, then I will die then?
says the old man.
That you are at this level, dying from training.
Subsequently, lightning strikes Janhitsu, altering the colors visible. In this moment, Zanitsu, upon spotting the oncoming spiders, becomes deeply frightened, collapses, and mutters spider repeatedly.
Modi doesn't understand this guy. How can anyone be conscious in such a situation? Is it really a denial?
Zanitsu is seen descending and tumbling. A new form of the issue appears, launching an attack on the spider, which retaliates with poison. The issue evades the poison and lands gracefully, at which point the spider speaks.
The boy has completely changed.
They begin their assault on Zenitsu, who skillfully dodges each attack, observing Zenitsu's repetitive technique. Aisosti, 26, Aisistikiti. The spider contemplates.
Potentially the identical technique.
And then we are shown that the bad guy calls him.
That you are also one. Mastered the technique. If it indeed. If you have learned one thing, learn to do it perfectly.
Since then, Nitu thinks, Master, you were angry with me before because I only learned one of the 6 techniques of thunder breathing. But you said that sometimes it is good to cry, sometimes you can run away, but you should never give up. You have to believe in yourself and do everything with perfection, and then we will see.
That all spiders attack him together.
Do it. Then Nitu thinks I had no one. No one believed in me, nor could I ever save anyone. But you always trusted me. How many times have I tried to run away from you? But you caught me every time. And I've never been away from myself.
And we witness all those spiders
4 to Zenitsu.
surround from the side. But suddenly Jainitsu, with his thunder power, removes all those spiders from himself, and we get to see the real power of Jainitsu, and he starts running here and there with thunder speed. The throat of that spider is separate from the torso. All this happens so quickly that the spider does not even realize that his throat has been separated from the torso, and he says, "Spider."
Was I really going to perish by his hand? I can't believe that I lost to a girl who had her hands and feet because of Ser. And also he.
It burns to ashes.
And here we are.
He notices the house collapsing and ponders upon it.
I have a dream that I will become very powerful and save a lot of people, and all this is going to end, and then we will see that Janhitsu.
Whose feet are those?
She receives a call while Janhitsu is present.
I remember that.
Him, the master said.
Make sure to never lose it.
And he's breathing.
Utilize technology to slow your breathing.
I will make an attempt.
Thinks that I cannot die so easily, otherwise my masters will beat me a lot, and the Tanziras will also shout at me, and the Tanziras on the other hand.
The sound of lightning crackles and him in the sky.
There will be clouds at all.
Tanjiro talks to Inos passionately.
Do you plan to descend the hill?
When you go, Inosuke says.
Why would I do that?
Then Tanjiro says,
You've got a lot of injuries, you need to rest.
but then they see that a monster comes in front of them and they start chasing him, but suddenly that monster is their own. She calls out to father and the monster attacks them and says, "Stay away from my family," and that's the end of the episode. At the beginning of the episode, we see that Ju and Shinobu arrive at that mountain and he sees that all the Demon Slayers have been killed. And then Shinobu says,
that we were told that a lot of dams. This layer was sent to the group, but I don't think there will be any left yet.
Then Diyu says that.
Let's move from here.
And they are divided into two parts. And here we see that he is attacking the monster Ainos and says,
Before my family members.
but then Tanjiro steps in to fight the monster and save Inost. But we see that Tanjiro cannot cut the hand of that monster with his sword, and that monster starts attacking Tanjiro with his other hand, but then comes at the right time of Inos and attacks his other hand, but his sword also cannot cut the hands of that monster. And we see that the monster throws Tanjiro and Inos away, and as soon as he starts attacking Tanjiro, Inos comes in between and attacks him, but it is of no use because that monster throws him away and falls behind Inos, and here Tanjiro cuts down a tree and falls on that monster to save Inos. At first, Inosuke doesn't understand what happened, but as soon as he sees Tanjiro, he realizes that Tanjiro has saved him, and he says,
That's how grand the spectacle is.
and here's what Tanjiro thinks.
This is my opportunity to unleash my most powerful technique.
He then takes a deep breath, which alarms rhinos.
I suspect whatever he plans to do will be extremely dangerous.
But as soon as the Tanzira starts attacking that monster gets up, and the sword of the Tanziras hits that tree, and that monster throws the Tanziras away, and then the Tanziras calls Inosuke.
Until I get back, please. Stay calm and...
Then the demon attacks him, and on the other hand we are shown Zanatsu, who is breathing his last breath. As soon as he closes his eyes, he remembers his master.
Never kill that heart.
And when he opens his eyes again, Shinobu comes from him.
Are you okay?
And here the scene shifts and we see Tanjiro falling down from the sky and he slows down his landing with his technique, due to which he escapes. But then he hears the sound of someone crying, and as Tanjiro follows that sound, he sees that one night the demon is harassing a demon and he is secretly watching them, and then he says demon.
What do you see? This is a family matter. If you still interfere in it, then I will tear you to pieces.
Then Tanjiro says that you...
Lying is built on a family trust, but I am from your smell. I just feel angry. This is not a family bond. This is just a cheat.
Hearing that, the demon gets angry, but only then do we see that another demon layer comes there, and he says this.
I can even kill monsters. I am deliberately hiding so that I can get the prize money by killing these demons.
And he attacks that monster, and then that monster shatters that Diamond Slayer with his threat, which Tanjiro is very shocked, and that monster says, "So you..."
What were you saying then?
Tanjiro thinks that.
Why does this monster seem incredibly dangerous? I feel that way tenfold. Feeling heavy? Please forgive me, Inos. Please stay alive until I have to beat it first.
And here we see that the monster attacks Ainos, and Ainos escapes him and hides behind a tree, and that monster is looking for him, but with the traces of Ainos' blood, that monster can find him. And attacks him, and then he escapes from there and thinks of...
How can this monster be killed? If a sword can't cut it, it's a dire situation and I must survive.
But only then do I think,
Why am I running away?
and he attacks the monster, but this time he doesn't cut off his hand. When he repeatedly strikes his first sword with his second sword, we see that the hand of the monster is cut off. Seeing that monster is afraid and starts running away, then he calls it you.
Why are you running away? Come to me and fight.
And here we observe Tanjiro engaging in a fierce battle with that monstrous being and his inner turmoil. It appears to be very delicate, and then he addresses the creature as Tanzirs.
I will not end your life immediately. Instead, I will dismember you into small pieces before killing you.
He says the monster.
Should you retract your words, I may consider easing your demise slightly.
But they say,
No, what I said was absolutely right. I took my point back. I will remain true to my word and commitment.
it is you who is wrong, and on the other hand, we see that he is looking for that monster, and he finds that monster with his power who is sitting on the tree, and then we see that monster transforms and becomes much more powerful than before. I am not associated with him.
I will win.
And he puts down his sword. But then he remembers Tanzir, who said to live till he comes, and he remembers the old woman who said to live your life by always holding your head up with pride. And he challenges that monster, but we see that monster throws Inosuke away in one blow, and as soon as that monster starts to hit Inosuke, the second blow, then Inosuke doses him, and as soon as he attacks that monster with his sword, both his swords break, and that monster Inosuke's mouth. The crushing starts making Inosuke's condition very bad, and he remembers his mother who abandoned him as a child to save him, and he thinks...
Who was that?
And only then do we see Ju come over there and cut off the hand of the monster that Inos escapes from his grasp. Then Inos thinks,
Who cut off the hand of this Raksha at once?
and we see that as soon as he attacks the monster Ju cuts him into pieces at once, which Inos is very impressed and says,
I've never seen anyone so powerful.
and that's where the episode ends. In the beginning, we see that Tanjiro is dosing the thread of that monster, and only then does he think the monster.
That is more logical than I expected, and
As Tanjiro moves forward to cut his thread, we see Tanjiro's sword breaks, and his thread comes straight to his mouth, and here are his teeth. Astonished by the strength, he becomes highly impressed and ponders.
I have never encountered such a formidable demon slayer.
He calls it wheat.
Wait a minute, you must engage in battle with me. If I manage to defeat you, I will become the unrivaled champion.
But Wheat says,
And I have a better idea. Go and do some more training.
upon hearing this, he becomes extremely enraged. Consequently, Ju comments,
This isn't one of the 12 jukes you couldn't overcome, nor could you articulate it.
This is 12.
Is it the juicer or not?
Then I say Inosuke.
Merely echoing the words of the Tanzirs.
Ju then binds Inosuke to the tree, departs, and we witness Shinobu Zanetsu. He administers the antidote for the spider's venom and summons him.
You've executed an excellent job of controlling your breath. Otherwise, you would have already transformed into a spider.
As Zenitsu faints, the scene transitions, and we observe Tanjiro in deep contemplation.
That how strong is the thread of this Roxas that cut even my sword. From its thread, so it is stronger than the body of the first monster, whose body my blade could not cut. Roko Postman and Hagineska, forgive me. I broke my sword with these experiences and...
Subsequently, Tanjiro launches an attack on the monster with his damaged sword, saying,
that if I can't cut his threads with this sword, I just have to go close to him, but these threads won't let me reach him.
And then we see that the monster attacks the Tanziers with his threads. But then Neju comes at the right time and takes over the attack, which both Tanziron and those monsters are surprised and we see the monster appears utterly shocked and inquires of Tanjiro.
Is this your sister?
So Tanjiro says,
and what do you feel?
Tanjiro attempts to staunch his bleeding, at which point the monster comprehends the essence of true bond and remarks,
I have yearned for such a bond since I lost mine.
At that moment, the monster's sister declares,
you cannot wield such power. I am your elder sister.
Subsequently, the monster dismembers its counterpart with its threads, declaring,
None of you have ever acted on my behalf. If you wish to avoid my wrath, eliminate anyone who ascends this mountain. If you accomplish that, then I apologize.
I will end the monster. Tell Tanjiro that.
If you give me your sister, I will give you.
I will leave you alive, but Tanjiro says,
what does that mean?
The monster is now yours.
My sister will be my sister.
Then Tanjiro says,
there is nothing. She has feelings inside her, but she will never be your sister.
Then that monster says there is no problem. I will keep it with fear and threat. Then Tanjiro says,
keeping someone on the basis of fear does not form a family bond. Until you understand this, you will not get what you want. Whoever says, I will cut off your head from the house.
Then the monster says, let's see if you can kill 12 members of Kazuki till then Zero thinks.
Its power is truly great. If I can't cut off its thadi, aiming for the head is even more crucial.
It will be difficult. Then the monster says that you really think you can beat me. Then he takes Nezuko in his possession with his threads, and Tanjiro attacks that monster. And then that monster throws thread at him, which Tanjiro is saved by dosing. And Tanjiro sees that monster has Nezuko hanging in the air with his threads, and he is bleeding a lot. Then he calls the monster. Don't worry, it's not going to die. After all, this is a monster. I will let it hang like this for a while until morning so that I can learn how to obey someone's orders. Hearing this, Tanjiro attacks that monster, but that monster drops Tanjiro down with the help of his thread, and that monster hits Tanjiro, which makes Tanjiro's condition very bad. Then the demon says, if you will cut my throat, then cut it, and we will see. As Tanjiro attacks his throat with his broken sword, his sword cannot even hit a scratch on his throat. Tanjiro gets very shocked, and we see that he is a monster. With a kick, he throws the Tanziras far away and says that if you can't cut my thread, then what will you cut my body?
How powerful is this? This is the power of that monster whose Muzaz is related to a Luzli.
And we see him sleeping. Then he thinks the monster is different from the other monsters. It's quite different, and here Tanjiro thinks that.
I have to control my emulations and I have to attack it with my most powerful technique.
And we see Tanjiro attacks that monster, and this time he also cuts the threads of that monster, and he thinks
that if I can cut its threads, maybe I can cut his throat?
And we see that he uses the Upli blood demon art on the monster Tanziers and surrounds him with threats from all sides. Then he thinks,
I can't cut them so easily. Am I really going to perish here and now?
Tanjiro recalls his father, who is dancing with the blonde, then mentions it to his mother.
Our family works alongside yours, and we do this Hinokami dance. Prayers for.
He offers us so that he can protect us from injuries and disasters.
Now we see that as soon as Tanzir remembers this, a different power comes into him. His dragon becomes fire from water, and the Tanziras become theirs from their dance. Cutting all the threads, starts moving towards that monster. Seeing this, that monster gets very shocked and starts running away from Tanziras, and only then Tanziras sees the opening thread. And only then we see Naijuko sees his mother in his dream who says that.
You have to get up, you have to save your brother or he will be killed.
And then we see Meiko gets up and burns all the thoughts of that monster with his blood demon art, and this Tanjiro stabs that monster in the throat. Then Tanjiro says,
Meiko and my bond are none.
then Tanjiro's sword and Meiko's fire combine to cut the monster's throat, and with it, 7 episodes are over. At the beginning of the episode, we see that Tanjiro thinks,
I did. I won. My father saved me, and I defeated this monster with the help of Kagura dance.
Then we see that the pan starts to be in the chest of Tanjira's, and he says that.
The battle is not over yet. I still have to go and save these Oski.
And suddenly it brings a smell to Tanjira's, which is not the smell of normal ash, and he says,
Please don't tell me that that monster survived even my attack and...
Then we see that he says to the demon Tanjira's that I separated my head from the torso with the help of my threat even before you struck. Then he says the demon, I don't know why you didn't burn in that fire, but now I'm worried about you. Now I will kill you and your sister without any delay, and he attacks Tanjiro with his blood demon art, and we give that Tanjiro would not have been able to move his body, and only then there is the entry of wheat, and that is all of that demon. Someone cuts the threads and says, Ju Tanjiras.
You did a good job. I'll take care of it now.
And we give. The monster gets very angry and he attacks Ju with all his power, and Ju cuts all his threads with his new technique. Even he does not move from his place, which the monster is very surprised to see. And the next moment, Ju removes the head of the monster from the house, and on the other hand, we give the monster who is running away, and we are shown his past where some diamond slayers are chasing him to kill him. But then she runs to a house where she asks Rui, if you want, that if I save you, you will have to become a lesson of my family, and she says demonic.
Okay, please, save me from them and...
The next moment, the monster shatters all the demon slayers with his own threads. Now we see that demon brings that demon into his house and gives him a drop of his blood to drink, and we give. As soon as that demon drinks his blood, mutation starts in his body, and that demon says that you are feeling this power, and then that demon changes his face completely and says now you are a part of the family. And here we give that demon tortures his family members a lot, and that he tells them that all of you follow your rules correctly, and she tells the demon,
If anyone, I don't believe in monsters, so he or she cut off for sunlight. Leave it to burn. Gives.
And then we see that Maratha comes in the way of that demon, and that demon imprisons her in the cocoon, and she says,
It's written inside. Soon all your clothes will burn and your entire body will also burn. And then I'll eat you.
And then we see that Shinobu comes there, and that demon starts attacking him, but Shinobu falls heavily on him. Then she says, Demon.
Please, leave me. It wasn't entirely my fault. I had no choice but to act that way.
Was, Abu says.
I will leave you, but first I will answer a question. How many people have you killed so far?
He informs the guard.
I've only killed 5 people so far.
Then Shinobu says, You.
You are lying. You have committed the murder of at least 80 people as I come from the side of Jesus.
I've really been there many times.
You've seen the cooks and you've seen it. You should get your punishment.
And then that demon gets angry and attacks Shinobu, and Shinobu cuts off his attack, and the next moment Shinobu attacks that demon with his sword, and then we see that Shinobu's sword just injures him because he has a natural blade on the sole edge of his sword. Then he thinks it's demonic.
It couldn't cut off my head. Now I will kill it.
However, suddenly, that demon's heart ceases to beat. Shinobu then remarks,
That even if I couldn't cut off the head of a monster, my blade would have a special type of poison.
Which is?
You can easily kill any monster.
and we see that he is a monster. She dies, and then Shinobu takes Maratha out of Kukud, then says Maratha
Why didn't you finish it then?
tells.
That I gave it wisteria poison, due to which it is now dead.
Shinobu then says that now.
To discover the monster's mastermind who compelled him, it was me. It seems that. Jew beat him somewhere. You have given food.
Furthermore, we observe that Rui believes the monster emerges in her mind, and she inquires.
What are your desires?
Rui then informs me that I lack any recollection of being human. Subsequently, the demon questions him.
Is that why you call us family?
If you wanted to make it.
That monster says that I thought if I family like this, Perhaps my memory will return, and I'll understand the true family bond. That's the conclusion of the episode. Initially, the episode shows Rui's rapid transformation, where we learn that Rui was a very frail child, who couldn't take more than 2 steps until he encounters Mujana, who turns him into a monster. Is in exchange for which he will be able to walk and he will get rid of this miserable life. And we see Mujan gives his blood to Ro, due to which he becomes a monster and he eats a human, due to which his parents are very sad and say,
What have you done? And
we are informed about his troubled mind. His parents attempted to kill him, leading Ruhi to kill them. However, during their final moments, his mother conveyed,
I'm sorry, I'm you. A robust body will not.
Subsequently, Rui recalls his father's words,
that we will take our lives with you.
and he realizes that the bond was true to himself. He broke with his hands, and we see that Rui's head falls on the ground on fire, and his body is going towards Tanjiro's, and he thinks that despite creating my family, I did not feel the bond of family, because I was the most powerful, so I used to protect them, and there was no one to protect me. And we see that the body of that monster comes and falls near Tanjiro, and Tanjiro cuts his hand on his stomach, which makes that monster feel very hot, and only then he remembers that I have to apologize to my parents. Whatever I have done, I hope he will forgive me. Now maybe I'm going to go to hell and die. Her parents won her. Where do you call him?
We'll go, we'll be with you.
He wraps them around his neck, pleading for forgiveness while weeping. Then Wheat places his foot on the monster's clothes, addressing Tanjiro. For a monster.
Don't display your supremacy. They killed many people.
That's when Tanjiro says,
I will not shy away from killing any monster unless he is dying.
And if they realize their mistake, then I will respect them, because once he is also human, so please remove your foot from his clothes, and then...
Ju remembers seeing Nazar.
These are the ones I assigned to the poster.
And then we see Shinobu starts attacking Nezuko, but Ju hits him at the right time, saves, and in this direction we see that some people from the Dam Slayer Corps give entry to all the people who have become spiders and have started cleaning that place. Shinobu asks,
Why do you want to save this monster? Yes, you are just like that. That's why not. Nobody likes you.
Hearing this, he says Wheat,
Doesn't make me laugh.
and then Shinobu says,
Please forgive me. I really didn't think you wouldn't know that.
and then he asks the dragons.
Why are you saving this monster? Please get out of here or you will get hurt.
Then Tanjiro says,
Is this my sister?
Shinobu calls the Tanziers.
If this is the case, I will give it a poison so that it will die easily.
He likes calling the tattoos.
You pull it back, me. Try to get as far away from here as possible. That's exactly what I'm planning to do.
Tanjiro departs with his sister, and then Shinobu makes a comment.
Did you just play Diamond Slayer Cops? Broken in here.
Tanjiro, on the other hand, thinks running away.
Do I really have to leave Diamond Slayer Cops? Because he would be a Diamond Slayer traveling with a monster. He won't.
And here Ju and Shinobu start fighting each other.
I didn't think a Hashira would save a monster.
And she goes to chase the Tanziras, and Ju starts chasing her, and then Shinobu says, me.
There's no problem. Forget about stopping me. There aren't too many people here to put a stop to him.
Following that, we witness a girl attacking Tanziri, knocking her down, and then attacking Nezuko. Tanjiro rescues her and speaks to Nezuko.
Run, Nezuko, run.
As fast as you part.
As fast as you can.
And then that girl knocks Tanjiro unconscious and starts going after Nezuko. And as soon as that girl attacks Nezuko, height decreases and starts running away. Seeing this, the girl is very surprised and thinks,
That's just running away. Why isn't it attacking me? But it doesn't matter. I got orders to kill this monster.
And here, on the other hand, Ju grabs Shinobu and she calls him.
Prevent that a Diamond Slayer from killing a monster.
What actions will you take against Rahul?
She then starts attacking Shinobu Ju, and only then do we see that there comes a message from Ro headquarters and tells everyone.
That? To show the Tanziras and Nezukas alive at the headquarters.
Everybody ceases their fight, and the girl questions Nezuko.
Are you the only one?
Indeed, that's everything. Now, they begin returning and capture Tanjiro and Nezuko. They discover Inos hanging nearby, take him along, and Inos reflects, I am a
Don't kill the demon either.
It seems that I am not that strong, and we are shown this solar mass issue, which is completely made up of mummy, and he says,
That's it. All are probably from Kashi, who clean up the place after the battle of the demon slayers, and these are the people whose swordsmanship is not so good.
and everyone starts moving towards the headquarters, and with that the episode ends. At the beginning of the episode, we see that a man is picking up Tanziras, and as Tanziras opens his eyes, then he sees that a lot of people are in front of him. Then Tanjiro asks,
Who are all these?
The man then informs him that.
All this is Hashiraj.
Then Tanjiro asks.
So where am I finally?
Then Shinobu says.
That you're at the headquarters of the Diamond Zara cops and you're going to be tried soon.
Yet some of them argue that.
There is no need for hearing. We will kill them directly, because they have broken the rules of the Demon Slayer cops. It is against the rules of the Demon Slayer cops to carry a Rakshasa around with you.
And then we see Tanjiro start looking for Naju. And then the man says, Where are you?
Do you see in front of you 9 are the highest ranking Diamond Slayer?
Nevertheless, Tanjiro, Najuko, and everyone else continue to search for Hashir.
Forget it. First tell us what we should do with wheat. He saved them and broke the rules.
He then inquires about the wheat.
Anything you want to say?
However, the wheat is rustling and Tanjiro believes this.
I am in this situation.
Due to, he states.
We don't care about that. They will be punished later. But first I would like to hear the story of this boy. Why is he hanging out with a demon while being a demon?
Then Tanjiro starts telling him.
That she's my sister.
Only then does he get a cough. Shinobu brings water for him and says that.
There exists a special medicine inside that will grant you strength.
Then Tanjiro tells that.
She's mine. My family was killed by a monster, and now only Nezuko is left in my family, and Nezuko until today.
For any human.
It has never harmed and never will.
Then one of them speaks up.
I don't believe anything you say.
Then Tanjiro says that.
Please trust me, which is why I joined the demonstrator. I am able to change my sister back from a monster to a human. It's been 2 years, yet the Mezuks have not devoured a single person.
Then one of them, Lady Hashira, speaks.
I am curious as to how Master was unaware of it. Do you think we should proceed without their consent?
Next, a Hashira arrives on the scene. He states.
Look at that.
Who has arrived for our entertainment?
The same?
It is Demon Slayer who brought this Raksha with him.
Then Shinobu says.
That you stay within limits.
Then he says, Hashir.
Are you this girl?
He mentioned that one man can rescue another.
This is utterly preposterous.
Then we observe him thrust his sword into Nezuko's box. He becomes extremely enraged and proclaims that.
Anyone who dares to harm my sister will confront me. At that point, I don't care whether there's any advantage before me or not.
Then we see that he still does not believe the Diamond Slayer. Then Tanjiro gets angry and hits his head on his head, causing the Diamond Slayer to fall to the ground. He says that if
you don't know the difference between a good demon and a bad demon, you shouldn't be a Hashila.
But then we see that she says 2 girls.
The Master is coming.
And we see the Master of the Manslayer Corps come there. And here we find out that he is blind and those 2 girls help him and us. They see that all of them are in front of him and ask him what he is doing.
What are you going to say about this guy?
Finish it.
Then the Master says,
I'm sorry, I didn't tell you this. We have accepted both these rare conditions, and I would be happy if you all accept this condition.
And then we see some of that. They accept the condition, but there are many of them who refuse to accept it. Then the Master asks a girl who came with him to read the letter, and then the girl tells that this.
The letter X has come from the side of Hashira Rokodake and
That's the request.
Permit Tanjals and laborers to collaborate. It's been 2 years since he last attacked anyone. While it might sound odd, it's true. However, if Nezuko harms a human, Tanjiro and Ju might take their own lives.
Hearing this, tears welled up in the Tanzira's eyes, while some gave their blessings.
That if ever Nazak, who did,
If you kill a person, that person will die forever. We will never be able to bring him back.
The Master says it's yours.
The point is correct. We cannot guarantee that no human will be killed, but we can't guarantee that it will kill anyone. But we also know this fact that Najak has not harmed any human being for 2 years, and here are 3 people who can even give their lives for him. If we have to deny this fact, we will need a powerful proof. Could any of you do that? And I want to tell you one more thing, that Tanjiro has seen Mojan face to face.
Everyone was shocked to hear it and wondered how.
That's impossible here.
Until someone. Hashila also hasn't seen Mujan yet.
Then he begins to ask Hashila Tanzirs.
What does he look like? What are his powers? Did you confront him?
Then the master says,
That Muzan had sent his demons after the Tanzirans. This is the first time Mujan has started himself. On this occasion, I don't want to let go, and I think something is happening to the Nazis that even Muzar would never have thought about. Do you agree with me now?
yes, then a hashish says.
If I don't agree with you, I'll offer proof.
I'll show you a terrifying monster. People cannot be saved.
Then we see that he takes Hashir together in his hand. His blood starts to fall on the box of Nezuko and says,
It's time for dinner. Come out now.
Then the second Hashira says that.
This is the time of day. It's not much anyway. We'll come.
Hearing this, Hashira goes inside the room with the box of Nezuko's and attacks the box of Nezuko's again and says,
Dream and death?
where we see Tanziri gets very angry and he tries to go to Nezuko, but a Hashira stops Tanziri with his corner and he opens Nezuko's box. Now we see Nezuko coming out of that box and Nezuko is very angry at that Hashira. Seeing his blood, water comes to his mouth, and with this the episode ends. At the beginning of the episode, we see that Naijuko is hungry after seeing blood, and Tanjiro on the other hand tries to redeem himself, but then he says to Shinop
That if you juice your breathing technique at this time, then your Venus will burst.
Then one of the participants made a statement.
I want to see. How will its Venus explode?
In a powerful burst, Tanjiro breaks free from his ropes. Gyu seizes the Hashira's hand while Tanjiro advances towards Nezuko, calling out to him. Subsequently, we witness Nezuko receiving his pass. He recalls the intense battle between Tanziron and Gyu while also remembering his family. Additionally, Rokodake's words come to mind.
Every human being is part of your family, and it's imperative to protect them under all circumstances without causing harm.
Upon remembering, she averts her face. The rest are taken aback, prompting the master to inquire of the 2 girls in question.
What happened?
So she says, the Hashira inflicted 3 wounds on Mezco, who was exceedingly hungry. Despite this, upon seeing the blood, Mezco averted his face and refrained from biting the Hashira.
So says the master.
We have been given proof that Mezuks are human beings, but it doesn't attack.
This relaxes the Tanjiro. Then the master calls Tanjiro.
Despite this many,
There will be people who will not accept this,
and you have to prove to them over time that you...
Moreover, the eyes have the capability to shield humans.
Then Tanjiro thinks.
How am I feeling? I'm doing mine. The body feels very light. Is it because of the man's distinctive and compelling voice?
Then the master says,
Go ahead and challenge Zuki of 12, then you all will be accepted. These matters will become more significant to you.
Then Tanjiro says, let's go.
Certainly the combined strength of New and Nezuko will eventually defeat Muzan.
The master says so.
It will be a little too much for you. First start 12.
When Tanziron gives the nod and everyone bursts into laughter, the master then elaborates.
Hashiras possess immense skills and have undergone rigorous training, similar to the 12. This is why Hashiras stand out.
Special treatment is provided, so you have to respect them.
They need it and they call Hashiras.
That you are.
He tells the Tanzirs to leave, then Shinobu says,
That master provided you have no objections. So I have eyes and eyes. I would really like to take it back home with me.
We observe the Kashis take them away from that place and then summon the master Tanziras.
Offer greetings to Tamayo.
They express their surprise. Following that, Tanjiro responds.
Do you recognize Master Tamayo?
And then Prakashis tells her that you keep your mouth shut, and then she takes them to Butterfly Mansion. And he tells her that this is Shinobu's student who Shinobu has trained. Then Tanjiro thinks that
I got this girl. I also saw it in the selection.
He then requests her permission to enter, and a girl appears from behind, inviting them inside while Tanziron glances back at Kanav. The scene shifts to Janhitsu, who is in tears and says,
That I will have to take medicine 3 times and that too for 3 months. They taste very bad. I won't eat one.
And then that girl comes and starts scolding Janitsu and says,
That if you still don't shut up, we will divide you.
Then Tanjiro tells Janitsu.
Are you okay? And finally you came to the mountain, and Janitsu.
He begins to cry once more and says,
I was bitten by a spider, which resulted in my arms and legs being affected.
Maybe she got younger, and that lady used to yell at me all the time.
Then Tanjiro asks.
Inosuke and Maratha are said.
Then Tanjiro sees Inosuke lying quietly, and then Tanjiro says,
I'm relieved you're okay, and apologize for not coming to save you sooner.
Enoch remains silent in response.
You need to worry.
No, I haven't told you since.
A monster had stabbed her in the throat, causing her voice to deteriorate.
Only then Ino says, forgive me for being so weak. Then Tanjiro and Janitsu say to him,
You don't need to worry about us, we're fine, and you did a great job.
Next, we observe Tanjiro taking action.
Hey Inos Janitsu, you're alright. I'm glad you're all alive.
Tanjiro then shows Nezuko his room and begins to explain something to her.
I deeply appreciate what you did on the mountain and extend my gratitude to everyone who supported me throughout this struggle. I must work diligently to improve myself.
And then we see Nezuko fall asleep.
And then Tanjiro.
He says, Jogo.
That I promise you, I will definitely change you from a monster to a man.
And here on the other hand, we are shown the meeting of the Demon Slayer Corps where the Master Carry is.
Monsters have launched an attack. As the day progresses, the lives of people are increasingly endangered. We urgently need to elevate the rank of Diamond Slayer.
Subsequently, one member responds with Hasya.
The fatalities among many Diamond Slayers in the mountain demonstrate their formidable combat skills.
We had less diamonds.
The level has to be raised.
Then Shinobu says,
The human population is increasing day by day. This makes it very difficult to save and collect them.
There isn't one.
The second says Hashir.
It seems that only individuals whose parents are already demon slayers or whose families were victims of demons are motivated to join the ranks of demon slayers, whereas other people show little interest.
If so, Fire Hashir says.
That is similar to what this guy did with the diamond tier.
Joined and similarly has fought alongside 12 people, I believe.
It has that power.
He can beat them.
Tamasho says.
You're right, but the lower 5 did it nonetheless. I assume Muzan was lurking around that mountain. It was just a diversion, and Muzan must have hidden something. Even so, that's his tactic. But I believe that as long as demons continue to prey on humans for strength, people like us will rise up against them. I'm confident that the Hashiras, who is presiding here today, are exceptionally astute in finances, and I wish to see everyone succeed.
And with this, the meeting concludes, and the master continues to speak alone.
Muzan, I vow that one day we will defeat you.
And that's where the episode ends. At the beginning of the episode, we see that Shinobu asks Flame Hashira.
Are you about to embark on a mission?
Then Flame tells Hashira.
That's about a monster. It has been found out that even the Diamond Slayer faced him. He has been killed. We have a lot of Diamond Slayers. We've lost something now. Must be done.
Shinobu then asks.
Is any of this functional?
So says Flame Hashira.
Yes, it could be. Kidnapping him too.
Then he tells Shinobu.
When is the process? We need to worry.
It's not, and then...
Flame Hashira leaves, and then we see Janitsu screaming again, and the girl says,
You have to take this medicine.
and she also gives Tanjiro her medicine. And Tanjiro drinks the medicine all at once, then says Janitsu.
What's your medicine? My brother is better than me.
This is wrong.
I have been cheated.
Subsequently, Maratha arrives. Tanjiro, delighted to see him, inquires about his well-being.
That's how you are then.
Maratha says I somehow survived. The rest were Nosk.
How is it? Did something happen to it?
Then Tanjiro explains it.
It's been quite a significant fight. It should definitely take a rest now.
Mitsu says.
Who is this?
Then Tanjiro tells that.
He fought alongside us on that mountain. However, afterward...
The girl requests Janhitsu to take her medicine, and then Janhitsu responds.
No, I won't drink it.
And then the girl says,
If you don't drink the medicine, your arms and legs will remain abnormally short.
Then explain to me how this is easy for you. You know, I was summoned to the Hashir meeting, where they questioned me about the mountain incident. Everything was extremely terrifying, and he was furious because the new Diamond Slayer is exceptionally weak. He inquired about who trained you all. Those Hashiras have scared me immensely. Only then did we see Shinobu arriving. Witnessing this, Maratha got frightened and left. Then she inquired.
That's how you both failed. Are you doing?
Then Tanjiro tells us that
I am feeling better than ever before.
Then Shinobu says,
So we should start your rehabilitation training.
at present, we observe that 2 weeks have elapsed since then as we ponder.
That from Tanjiro and Inos for 2 weeks. Rehabilitation training is underway. I talked about it,
I've never heard it before.
but that's it.
Training is conducted to enhance your overall strength.
And then we see Inosuke and Kanjiro get in very bad shape after training and go straight to their beds and fall asleep. I've been thinking ever since.
What happened to them?
So Janitsu is very scared and says,
From tomorrow. This is the start of my training. At least give me an idea.
Subsequently, we observe that the next day Janitsu accompanies him to training, where that girl informs.
Initially, these girls will stretch your body. And secondly, your reflex training will involve numerous cups filled with water placed in front of you, which you must arrange before your opponent does. Yet, there is a twist. Your opponent is allowed to obstruct your hand, and the final stage consists of full body training, wherein you must confront us.
Then we see Janitsu calling Tanjiro and Inosuke out and dragging them away, and he punches Inosuke, from which Inosuke goes away and falls. Then Tanjiro says,
He needs to apologize.
Since then Nisu says,
What should you ask for forgiveness for? You used to live with girls all day. Then why did you come in such a state in the evening? You could touch his whole body. You had beautiful girls massaging you. You had a chance to touch them. Each girl had 2 boobies. Smelled very good. When this is heaven passes by absolute heaven and...
Then we see Inosuke and Janitsu start fighting each other, and the scene shifts, and we see Janitsu say,
I'm completely ready to train with you.
and we see that Janitsu is having a lot of fun in training, says Inosuke.
I've always done it in the name of training. I cried, but it was fun.
And we see Janitsu passes the reflex training the first time, and he also passes the second training. He just needs to eat a lafa. Then Janitsu says,
Even though I won the battle, I lost the battle.
then Ino says,
I want to win too.
and Inos. The commission excels in both sessions. Now Tanziron participates in the latest match, and when Inosuke and Janitsu lose to Kanayao, Tanziron contemplates.
That's how I'll win from Kanaya. We have been panting from Kanaya's for the last 5 days, and one day they both stopped coming to training.
However, Tanziras keeps attending training, and we notice his dedication in the evenings. He returns to his room, pondering deeply.
Why am I unable to defeat Kanaya? What makes him so sharp, and his eyes, why do they seem so different?
And then we see some girls calling the Tanziras, and they give the Tanziras a towel and ask him,
Do you practice total concentration breathing training throughout the entire day?
Huh?
he says,
Is this possible?
the girl says,
That yes. This is why you can distinguish yourself beyond mere words.
and she says that.
All
Hathiras and Kanao on total concentration breathing.
mastery has been achieved.
Then Tanjiro claims,
If that's the scenario, I will certainly give it a try. Right now.
in the next scene we see Tanzero total concentration. But Rishan is trained in breathing, and only then do we see Tanjiro fall down, and he says,
If I practice it even for a little time, my chest starts to hurt. How am I going to do it all day? My ears are ringing so loudly that it feels like they're going to burst. How scary is that?
And then we observe Tanjiro needing to manage things on his own. He begins practicing total concentration breathing once more. At this moment, those girls bring rice balls for Tanjiro and summon some deities, attributing the calls to Tanjiro.
You must inflate these deities with air until they burst. This is the method Shinobu and Kanao use for their training.
Hearing this, the Tanzias feel a shock, and he says,
This, so much hard material to explore. Can someone break it by filling it with air?
Then Sanjiro thinks that.
In what manner can this girl burst them?
The girl explains to him.
As you advance, these deities will increase in size.
Then she shows the goat pertaining to Lady Kanaf, which she is striving to burst. It is astonishing to witness. She is visibly taken aback and comments.
I will definitely try it.
Presently, we witness Tanjiro initiating his training with utmost effort, engaging in practice during the early hours. Subsequently, as night descends, we observe Tanjiro on the terrace, immersed in practicing total concentration breathing, and he remarks,
That I've already gotten faster, and for me, the lungs are also very strong.
Then we observe Shinobu Tanjiro drawing nearer and speaking intimately.
You are working extremely hard, even though your friends aren't with you. Don't you feel a sense of loneliness then?
Tanjiro says no.
Once I fully master it, I will personally teach them.
When she speaks,
Your soul is very much.
It's beautiful.
then Tanjiro asks.
Why did you bring us here?
Then Shinobu says,
None of the three of you had any issues with the presence of Kai's eyes and were noticeably upset then. I want to share a dream I had where I envisioned humans and monsters coexisting peacefully. I believe this dream should be realized.
then Shinobu Tanjiro, and then he directs his query to the tankers.
Are you angry?
Shinobu is shocked to hear this. Then Tanjiro says,
Why do I consistently detect an aura of anger from you, even though you always wear a smile?
then he tells,
It's true that I'm always angry. That's because my older sister was killed by a monster. And whenever I see someone else crying because of demons, my anger grows and I have such a hatred for demons that I can't fight, and I think the rest of the marginal Jews must think the same.
and he tells me,
My sister had a good heart just like you. He even had a feeling of compassion for demons. Even when she was dying, she still did not change her mind, and it was her dream to be friends with humans and Asham, and I want to choose this path only for her without losing the smile that my sister loved so much.
and he says to them,
I know you have to save your sister till the end and fulfill this dream. You have to work hard for what I can't.
and she goes from there and starts to practice Tanjiro total concentration breathing and thinks.
I will definitely turn the eyes into human beings.
And that's where the episode ends. At the beginning of the episode, we see Tanjiro telling those girls that,
I need a little help from you if I fall asleep. If I stop doing this, will you kill me with this stick so I can practice?
and then we see that at night when Tanjiro is sleeping, those girls see that Tanjiro is doing the practice of total concentration breathing correctly, but as soon as he starts snoring, she starts hitting him with the same stick. Now we see Tanjiro starts practicing total concentration breathing again, and the next day Tanjiro starts practicing like daily, and he says, me.
This practice is now a habit, and the more I practice it, the more my stamina will increase.
Now on the other side, we see practice with Tanjiro Kanao. But this time, Tanjiro gives Kanao a hard fight, and as Tanjiro is about to grab his hand, Kanao takes his hand back and Tanjiro goes forward and falls. And on the other side, we see Janisu and Ino's Tanjiro training, but still, he does not come for training, and the scene shifts. Now the next day we see Tanjiro trying to break the god, and those girls are encouraging him, and we see Tanjiro successfully breaks that god. The next day we see Janitsu and Ino sleeping, and as Janitsu flies, his feet come to him. Then Janitsu says to his bird,
That's why I'm on training with Tanjiro.
I'm not going because
I'm afraid that
Tanjiro will try to explain things to me, but I won't understand anything since I'm utterly useless.
Then his bird agree with him, then says Janitsu.
How can you say that? Could you have broken my heart?
His bird says,
Hard work then.
we observe Janitsu alone, Dremeki consuming his medication, and Inosuke rising too, exclaiming.
Let's go, Monksu.
Both proceed to training, where Shinobu instructs them.
That Tanjiro-1 has been the master of the skill, which is called total concentration breathing. By doing this, your stamina will increase a lot.
And they both try him and his condition. Becomes very thin, then Tanjiro starts explaining to them about total concentration and says,
You can do it, and
Tanjiro begins explaining his process, but they show little interest. Suddenly, Shinobu arrives and says something.
This is a beginner level skill. You have to practice a lot.
And she says to Inosuke,
That's what I thought. That would be effortless for you, but now I doubt you'll be able to do it.
and when he hears this, Inosuke gets very angry and says, yours.
What do you mean? Of course I will do it.
And then Shinobu gently grasps Janitsu's hand and says,
Janitsu, you can do this. I'm with you. And
Janitsu goes crazy with joy, and he and Ino start training, and we see Kanao watching them train and then tells Shinobu,
why aren't you training with them? Can you also train with them?
Then we see Kanao take out a coin with his tongue and flip it in the air, and then us. Kanaya's past is shown, where we are shown that she is very poor, and her father used to beat her a lot, due to which she was completely broken from inside, and one day she gets the sound of something breaking, and after that she stops feeling anything, and we see that Kanaya is sold by her parents. But still he doesn't feel anything, and then we see that Shinobu's sister calls the man and says,
That you will tell me why you tied this girl up? Is this a crime? So?
That man says,
That it is an infected person and very dirty from above.
The girl then tells the Kanayas her name is Kanayan Kojo.
Says,
What's your name?
but he is.
He remains silent, then the man speaks.
It is unnamed. His parents hadn't named him, but now you proceed.
Then he tells Shinobu.
Please refrain from touching my sister.
And then the man says,
Since you're so curious, why not purchase it?
Moreover, we observe Shinobu squandering all the money. And he says,
Gather it and proceed.
He flees from that place and takes her home. Shinobu subsequently informs his sisters.
This girl is absolutely gorgeous. It can't do anything by itself. Unless it is said, it will not even eat no matter how hungry it is. What will we do with it?
Then Kanaya says,
Don't worry about that at all. I really don't like it when you're angry because I absolutely love your beautiful smile.
She says, Shinobu.
That's really not funny. What on earth will a girl who is incapable of making a decision for herself end up doing in life?
Then without hesitation, Kanai gives Kanao a coin and says,
The idea is that anytime you have an important decision to make, you just flip this coin and it will guide you in making a choice.
And she says,
When you love someone, you will change.
We've watched as Kanao leaves that place, and in the subsequent scene, a cry reaches Tanjiro. He quickly rushes towards Inosuke and informs him that
Our nature is becoming swords.
he carries the strong odor of Hagnaska, and he exists in both the exterior and interior spaces. We then observe Haganeska, and as soon as he spots Tanjiro, he begins advancing towards him with his knife. Tanjiro is utterly shocked upon witnessing this and tries to defend himself, but Haganeska remarks,
How dare you break my weapon in two pieces like that?
and then they credit it to me.
Very powerful.
Was it Hagen then? That's a lot.
Exclusively, it's your fault you destroyed it, so now I will have to end you.
And he washes his hands behind the tankers, and then the other manufacturer tells that.
My name is Kanamori, and I crafted swats for Master Inos. This is the first occasion that I have made dual swats for anyone. I sincerely hope they are useful. I am very supportive.
Then we observe Ino striking his sword with a stone, which deeply shocks the trio and Kanamo, who then threatens to kill him. Zero intervenes and begins to stone Ino's second sword, angering Kanamo even more. The next day we see that Tanjiro is training with Kanao, and we see that he manages to hold Kanao's hand, and Tanjiro beats Kanao in reflex training as well, but instead of pouring water on him, he puts the glass of water on his head, which is seen by Janitsu and Inos to their full strength. From then on, I started practicing. Shinobu then tells Tanjiro,
Now that you're feeling well, you can proceed with your mission.
and then Tanjiro asks Shinobu,
That have you heard of Hinokami Gagradas and Shinobu?
if you say no, then Tanjiro says.
And about fire breathing?
So Shinobu says,
I didn't even know about it then.
tells Tanjiro.
Because I learned all this when I was a kid. My father used to use fire breathing. Then,
Shinobu says,
I don't know about fire breathing, but flame breathing definitely exudes, but it is not fire breathing, and flame breathing was never called fire breathing, perhaps flame Hashira Ranguku. You must know something about it, but he's on a mission.
gone.
Tanjiro says thank you to Shinobu, and now Draco Tanjiro goes to Nazuko's room and sees that Nezuko is still sleeping, and he says,
Yes, I know that the more you sleep, the more your power increases. But still, if you don't open your eyes, I start to worry, and you know I'm going on a mission very soon. And Inos will also be with me, and I know that you also believe that both of them are very good people, and being with them gives me confidence. I know I have to defeat very dangerous monsters and send their blood to Tamayo so that he can make medicine for you. Am I doing this?
Subsequently, Tanjiro hears Nezuko's voice and she speaks.
You can do it, big brother. I have complete faith in you.
Upon hearing this, Tanjiro experiences immense joy, and the episode concludes. At the beginning, we witness Tanjiro engaging in reflex training with Kanao once again, followed by Tanjiro putting up a commendable fight against Kanao. Then Ao informs Tanjiro that
Your score. And now,
we are taken back to a scene from several months prior where we observe members of Lower 512 Kizuki followed by a monster contemplating.
Where are we?
And then he sees a woman, and then as soon as that woman speaks, she says,
300 then.
he thinks the monster.
Is this truly you? Could it be that their appearance and aura have been altered? I was unable to recognize them.
The man named Muzan says,
The lower 5 has been killed, whose name was Rule, and I am you, most one. On that day, I want to ask why you lower rank Rakshas are so weak, so there shouldn't be a clue. You're only 12 years old. This is just the beginning. You need to consume a lot of hammers and absorb power. This is one way to reflect on the past thousands of years and tell me how many times you've changed.
there may be a monster in your mind.
It's difficult to say, but that's the reality.
But then Musa reads his mind and says,
What were you saying, Habib?
and only then do we see Muzan devour that monster with his strength, and then we see Muzan start eliminating all the lower rank Kizukis one by one, and only then a monster tries to flee from there, but Muzan also captures and devours it. Lastly, a monster remains who becomes Muzan's accomplice. He begins to act, and then Muzan drops some of his blood inside him and says,
I give you my absolute all. It's a different matter if you can't handle it, and if you survive, you'll already be transformed, and that's my responsibility. When you leave, if you master the demo with Hana Funda lyrics, I'll offer you more opportunities.
And now that monster sees the face of Tanziras because of the blood of Muzan, and here on the other side we see that a crew comes to Tanziras and their companions and tells them that
There is a train that
More than 40.
numerous passengers are missing. You are commanded to assist the flame Harshita Rangukas immediately. Head west without delay.
Need now.
On the other hand, Master tells Shinobu that
I have also given the move and train machine. Tanjiro and the others have been chosen, and I would like to ask why you recommended Tanjiro for this job.
Tashino spends.
That Tanjiro's soul is very pure and he has determination power inside him, and I am sure he will do something, and the goal of defeating Muzan is absolutely clear in his mind.
So says the Master.
That's about this. I would agree with you.
I will then inform the Shinbu Master.
That the father of Tanziras used to use fire breathing, and maybe the colors in this journey can help him in this thing.
So says the Master.
True. If we believe that his sister is a Rakshasa, yet he did not eat any human, and even from Wojin, once found, I think it's Tanziran's destiny that he will defeat Muzan.
Now we see Tanziron going towards his room, but only then does he see the boy with the final selection. Then the Tanzirs say,
Nice to see you after a long time.
However, the boy leaves without a word and proceeds to the Tanziras commission. Let me know what's next.
It's great that you're on a mission. I'm pleased we underwent training together.
Take care then.
Tanjiro says,
I appreciate it. Your assistance in my practice was invaluable, so now I can return to battle.
Then I say come.
No thanks are necessary. I was fortunate to have survived the final selection. I am apprehensive about today's battle.
Kanjiro says,
Indeed, it is of no consequence. You were of immense help. Now that you're part of me, your emotions will significantly aid me in battle. If injured, I am reassured knowing you'll be there to care for me.
Subsequently, Kanjiro approaches Kanao as he searches for him and remarks.
Thank you very much then.
Kanon says,
I don't need to say thank you, I just take orders.
Continue.
I am extremely happy to hear that.
He eventually addressed both me and her.
He inquires about coin and she responds.
Goodbye.
Then Kanao tells him,
I flip this coin to make decisions about the things I haven't predetermined. For instance, it's as if I decided by flicking the coin now whether or not I should engage in conversation with you.
Then Tanjiro starts speaking.
Why don't you decide for yourself what you want?
Yes, then Kanayo
Says.
Nothing really matters to me, so I don't make any decisions myself.
He states,
I believe your inner voice is too faint. Following orders is important, but so is a person's own initiative.
She asks him for his coin and he tells her.
That I will toss it and decide whether you will listen to the voice of your heart, and that
He flips the coin and remarks.
that if the head comes, you will hear the voice of your heart from today.
We observe the coin landing on heads, which greatly pleases Tanjiro. Tanjiro holds his hand and explains to him.
Remember that it is only a heart that gives people the courage to move forward. Then make your heart very strong.
And he starts to leave there. Then Kanayo asks him.
How's that head on?
Came?
Then Tanjiro says,
It was just a by chance. If the head did not come, I would have kept flipping again and again until the head.
After listening to which Kanaya feels something for the first time, and now we see Tanjiro and his companions are trying to break the gods by blowing, and he successfully breaks the gods, and
Girls.
they are called the best. Now Tanjiro meets Gyu and asks Gyu,
I hear you're heading to battle.
You got a master's degree in total concentration breathing.
and Tanjiro says yes sir, and he says,
I want to thank you for risking your life to help me. How can I properly express my gratitude?
then you say,
By continuing to do good, our mission is to slay demons.
You can say thank you.
they then refer to the girls as Janitsu.
That you talk respectfully with girls from now on.
Janitsu enthusiastically agrees, and they all depart, eventually arriving at the 3 railway stations where they spot Ainos' train and exclaim,
That's going to be the master here. Even if it's sleeping, I'm going to beat it.
will be, Zero says.
Stop, Enos.
Perhaps it's currently the spirit guardian here.
Then Janitsu says,
Have you ever seen a modern train before?
These people.
It facilitates movement from place to place.
we then witness Inosuke bursting with enthusiasm, colliding headfirst with the train. Janitsu rushes to halt him, and just then, the police arrive, questioning their actions. Spotting Inosuke nearby, they chase after him while Janitsu flees, leading to questions from the people there.
Why do we run away from them?
Then Janitsu tells me,
No government acknowledges the demon slayers, so we must conceal our swords.
Then we observe the train starting its departure. However, the 3 manage to board the train. Subsequently, Janetsu inquires Tanjiro.
That Nezuko his...
Take with you.
Will it be safe?
Then Tanjiro says,
Yes, this is absolutely fine. Nezuko and I will go together wherever we go. We could never be apart.
and with that, the final episode of Season 1 ends. Now after that you will see what will happen next in the train, the link of which will be coming on your screen. You can see it by clicking on it.